What's up, everyone? If you are looking for the Misfit podcast, you're in the right place. But today we've got a special edition Coaches podcast. And if you've never listened to a Coaches podcast, we've got myself, Hunter, and Coach Sherb, both head coaches at our respective affiliate, and we're the writers behind the Team Misfit affiliate programming. So Team Misfit, we provide resources and programming for your affiliate. So if you're maybe, hey, I've heard of Misfit Athletics, I follow the individual program, but I want to get it for my affiliate, but we kind of take into consideration things like how many people you have, it's a 1-hour class, all that sort of stuff we put into thought, or we think about for our affiliate programming. Today, we're talking about phase 1 of our affiliate podcast, and similar to our Misfit Athletics crew, we like to keep kind of that test-retest model for our affiliates. We try to line everything up as best we can with Misfit Athletics so that the entire Misfit community, all the way from CrossFit Games aspiring athlete to, hey, I'm just trying to get healthy, trying to get fit for life, we take care of you. So today, phase 1 podcast, enjoy. What is going on, everyone? Hunter and Sherb back from Team Misfit, bringing you guys the drum roll, please. Nice.
How was it?
Solid.
I love that sound. And say, wait, my mind is a did
Can you do it again?
application.
Just kidding. Don't do it again. With the phase 1 podcast. Oh, I got phase 9 written on
I saw that. I was just
sheet here.
I didn't know if it was like a variant, like the iPhone, like 10X.
Ah, yes. Where we
1X.
just make everything smaller but more expensive. We're just regressing back to the regrading.
You got to cheese? Is that what you do to cheese after you've graded it once?
We are regrading the program, taking it from disassembled and putting it back together. We're reassembling the cheese wheel, which,
I'm all excited now.
How long would it take to reassemble a shredded cheese wheel?
Are you gluing the pieces back together, or do you have to like melt them with the cheese back together? Like, what's the application? I guess
assume that it's humid enough out that they could stick together, and you use like the standard graded.
Am I allowed to eat some of the cheese as I do it, so the wheel's not the same size it was, but it gets a little smaller, but I get cheese too?
That's approved.
I don't know, a few days. I've been eating too much cheese.
6-7 hours.
I'd finish with none.
Just end up eating all of it again.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Good.
That's a great start.
Solid intro. All right. So yes, phase 1. This is exciting. We're close to the Misfit Athletic stuff and the Team Misfit stuff are almost lined up. We're going to get those things lined up in phase 2 for everybody a little bit more, but we've got phase 1 starting Monday, July 26th. So hopefully you guys are listening to this a day or two before that phase kicks off. But before we get into kind of phase 1, this is like the official restart of the season, and understanding that it's a little bit that matters maybe a little bit more for like people who are really, really concerned about the open or quarterfinals. It's still important that affiliate athletes and just the general population has kind of that occasional reset and reorientation of what's important, or just having something to shoot for, right?
I think it's important to have more than just like I show up and yes, I check the box of showing up each day, but to give someone something to work towards. I mean, I think that the CrossFit HQ Incorporated has done a really nice job of putting the open back as like something people care about again. It's 3 weeks, which I feel is a very manageable dose for most people because, in our experience in the past, by weeks 4 and 5, like the themes get stale, the energy's low, but 3 weeks people are really excited about. So, it's nice to have something to care about that's more than just like the health and wellness, but like, hey, I'd like to shoot for something. And, it's nice that kind of corresponds with the new year, and, to make sure that we set people up, because we really want to make sure that someone who is coming to us for affiliate programming, they probably heard of us through Misfit Athletics, and they, know what we do there and what we do there, and they want to have the same results they've had either individually or they've seen through a friend get, have at their affiliate, because, nothing is more fun as a coach than seeing someone celebrate something new or something they haven't done before. And, I think that's what separates us from other programs, is that we do that throughout the year periodically, and that kind of keeps the fire burning throughout the entire 52-week year, as opposed to like, hey guys, it opens in 4 weeks, let's ramp up real fast, good luck. And for a lot of people, that doesn't work very well.
Yeah, and I think that's a important note to, if you're listening to this and you maybe haven't, you're not a Team Misfit affiliate, and that you don't follow the program, but maybe you're interested, or maybe it's just hey, these guys from Misfit Athletics have another, are talking on a podcast again, and I like their stuff, whatever it is. It's important to note that, all of these things, while we understand that not all affiliate athletes are concerned, nor should they be, about their performance, it's a way, and it's a way that we can get the buy-in from the athletes to be consistent at something. It's to shooting for a goal, shooting for something that's further down the road, and that sort of application is important for anything inside and outside the gym. And that's what we're trying to do as affiliate coaches. We want the things, not only the movements that we teach, to translate outside the gym, but kind of the lessons that that CrossFit and your affiliate class.
And you've talked about this quite a bit to our classes, and I stole this from you because I really liked it. But like the lessons that we're teaching at the gym aren't necessarily like how to do a handstand push-up or how to snatch correctly. It's, hey, if you do this behavior day in and day out, it'll change who you are as a human being. And like the life lessons are like, hey, if you do anything with intent or with purpose, you're going to get better at it. Like let us help you be better at something. And those long-term and those big picture messages that you can learn from the gym through like being consistent are huge for how they are applied outside of the gym. You always say to people that, if you only come here for 1 hour, exercise a few days a week, like you're missing the big picture here. And it seems weird to think about this, but we are teaching people life lessons every single day in the gym. And, they might think they're getting better at the snatch, but they're getting better at being a consistent human being and seeing what that allows them to do outside the space. So, one of my favorite things to tell an athlete is, yes, it's really cool to get your first bar muscle up. It's cool to be able to deadlift 500 pounds. But, I think you'll find being able to go out and do whatever you want in your real life being more applicable than the random thing that you picked up in the gym.
Yeah. And to use that example, yes, congratulations, you got your first bar muscle up. You PR'd your 5 rep max sumo deadlift. That single instance is important, but how would you do to get there? Oh, it's that you spent a lot of time and effort and energy and dedication and consistency, which is going to kind of be the theme of the podcast for the phase, is that kind of the consistency, the idea of just having a target to shoot for and using this phase as almost like a fresh start. But people see that, the one clip of the first bar muscle up or that one set of 5 sumo deadlifts that we saw so many athletes PR over the last phase, but it's like, that's awesome, but don't forget the lesson. Like that was you showing your hard work. The lesson was in the 6 weeks of your dedication and consistency to improving, not worrying about the weight, instead letting that kind of speak for itself at the end of it. But the work that you put in along the way is what we're actually after.
100%. I mean, I think the cool lesson that everyone picks up over time is that, like, all right, I can take whatever I learned inside the gym and apply it elsewhere. You're not where you want to be professionally. Like maybe it's just some time and dedication to your craft that you haven't paid in yet. Or, you have this idea that like feels so far away. You start your phase, you're like, oh, I only hit like 305. I would love to deadlift 400 by the end. And like, that seems so far away, but through practice and consistency, that becomes a thing. So then you take that lesson, apply it to other things. And now, people are seeing that your gym is more than just, hey, I learned how to lift something off the ground. Like I learned some important shit, and I think this would help you and this would help other people. And to me, that's a really cool marketing message about your facility and who you are as a person and what your facility is all about, that you can give people more than just 1 hour of fitness.
Yeah. As the coach, and we'll get into this a little bit too, but it's, when we start, the part of the reason we like we follow kind of a test retest model for our affiliates in a similar vein as for our competitors. And some of it's has to do with just kind of like there's of course a small element of like marketing, but more importantly, it's just like, hey, let's get a fresh start for things. Like it's difficult to stay focused. It can be difficult to stay focused for, if there aren't intentional breaks here and there, or intentional kind of like, okay, let's stop. Let's see where we're at. Let's retest. Okay, now let's focus on something a little bit different that still has the end in mind, but we need that everybody needs that occasional reprieve over the course of an entire year. And again, whether you're concerned about your placing on the open leaderboard, or you're just, trying to lose a few pounds, lose some body fat, get the first bar muscle up, get your first strict pull up, whatever it is, the messaging from the coaches, from you coaches is, hey, let's see what 7 weeks can do for you. Let's see, commit yourself to come to the gym. Say, hey, you know, I'm a consistent like 2 or 3 times a week person. What if I genuinely made an effort to come to the gym 4 times a week? And obviously there are life implications to that, you know, we understand, but it's like, what does 7 weeks of dedicated hard work at something do for you? And what does that teach you about what you could do if you applied that to other aspects of the gym or your life?
One thing that really resonated with me, like coming up and starting CrossFit, was like the scientific method behind it. Like you can try something for a certain amount of time, test yourself at the front end, try something for a certain amount of time, and then test it again and see how you've gotten better. And, you know, that could be playing with the zone diet. That can be playing with back squat twice a week. And that could be playing with, all right, I'm going to row a 2K every single day until I can row under 9 minutes for my 2K. Like that's a really cool lesson to see how much change you can enact in yourself in a very small amount of time. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're sitting on some random rainy Thursday morning and you're like, I got to run my 2K, you're like, kill me. I don't want to do this. But you know, you quickly realize that, hey, in 7 weeks, I took my time from a 940 to a 750. Like, holy shit, that's a huge change. And, you know, that's the type of profound change you can see in an athlete when they come to your gym more consistently. And, you know, as much as, you know, we try to preach the intensity model and we want to make sure that athletes are going hard, then resting and recharging so they can go hard again, you know, little lessons like, hey, add another single day there, or try to go to bed 1 hour earlier, or wake up and drink a glass of water. Like simple little things like that don't feel like major hurdles to people become, you know, they are obstacles at the front end because there's something new to you. But when you quickly realize that a small amount of little extra give a shit creates traumatic change, like then you're like, all right, I get it. Now I'm into it. And that lesson can be taken into other things down the road, which I think is super important.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So phase 1 starts July 26th, goes through September 11th. I think that's a Saturday. And then we'll be back on track the following Monday. So our lifting, this past phase, we focused on the sumo deadlift. Kudos to everybody who tagged us on Instagram. We saw at our home gym a pretty insignificant 79% PR rate. And everybody
our second affiliate was hovering around 80% as well.
You guys were there as well.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 people PR their deadlift at the end of the phase.
When 4 out of 5 people PR their deadlift, that goes to show again kind of that effort and dedication. So we did that. High CNS lift, high central nervous system demand lift. Again, if you're not familiar with the program very much, this is going to be our lift only day for the phase, and it's going to be the squat clean. We spent a lot of this last phase working on positional stuff with the power clean specifically. So we're looking for our athletes to take the lessons that they learned over the last 7 weeks there and now apply it to what will be a boatload of reps every day that this comes up. And that'll be the only thing you guys have in class.
And we've heard good things about having that singular focus because it allows the athletes who typically pick one or the other to kind of pour all their eggs in one basket for the opportunity to really
being like a lift
conditioning or the lift.
Yeah.
You know, you see athletes able to kind of really focus on this. You know, you'll notice that a lot of the sessions are beefy. You're looking at, you know, 9 sets, 5-4-3, 4-3-2, so on and so forth. So you're going to have some really beefy days there. And, you know, it's really important to take that day and just remember what it's all about, which is, you know, have fun, lift some heavy weights, but give someone something to work on every single class. You know, I think that's a really important point with the high CNS stuff. You know, one thing I've tried to make sure that I do when I coach these classes is if you try to rattle off 15 different things about X, Y, and Z, about doing this or doing that in a lift, people aren't going to listen to it. So like, you know, you have 7 opportunities over the course of the phase to pick like one salient point and try to hammer it home with everybody. And, you know, 7 weeks, 7 opportunities, 7 different things to clean up. You can make some really traumatic, pretty impressive progress in a very short amount of time. And, you know, hopefully have the same success rate you saw the sumo deadlift with the squat clean at the end of the phase.
Yeah, I think the way that we structured it too is good because it is so many sets and so many reps. It's just like, whether you're a really strong athlete or not, you are going to benefit from it in some way because the higher reps, that translates really well to conditioning settings where, you know, CrossFit, it's not always a heavy single like it is in
Almost
weightlifting. Almost never. So there's a small conditioning element there, but more importantly, the number of reps allows people to get a lot of practice and get a lot better at the lift. Like you said, 7 times over the course of a phase, and you get a lot of reps to practice on a given day. Like you as a coach, we have to hammer the message home of like, let's get better at this like lift. There's a lot of opportunities, and it starts off pretty light, but don't worry, it builds so that athletes can hopefully PR in retest.
Yeah, and I'd say, you know, traditionally you wouldn't see a weightlifter doing sets of 5 and 4 of their main lift.
Right.
They're doing that of accessory things, but, you know, with our population, you're looking at people who are from the casual exerciser all the way to the high level athlete. So, you know, you can't tell me that doing more reps is going to make you worse at the lift. You're going to be more tired, which is great. We want that.
Good for a CrossFitter.
But you know, that it is going to be some grueling sessions there. And I, you know, want to make sure we hammer on one last point. If you look at the day and the programming, you're going to see anywhere between like 12 and 20 minutes of rest built into that piece. You know, I'd really make sure you kind of communicate that to your team, or, you know, you put people on the clock so you can see more people lifting all at once, but it's an opportunity to really help every single person get better and to make sure that they are doing that. Give them the adequate rest, allow your coaches to, you know, poke around, see everybody in class, and everyone should leave. How long
would you want to give people, you know, hey, from the time that it's like, all right, you guys, you have X amount of time to work through this because it's the only thing in the 1 hour class. What would you, as a coach,
I think, you know, early weeks, you might be able to get away with every 3 minutes, you know, when it's on the lighter percentages and people are still kind of figuring out the skill of it. You know, as you build up into that 80, 85, 90% range, we're looking at like 4 minutes. You might go every 4 minutes or every 3.5 minutes just for the sake of your hour-long class. But, you know, I do think that using the clock is a great way to stagger athletes so you can see more athletes, but it also helps athletes understand that, like, if I am going to really give this the effort it requires, I need to give myself rest. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through the motions and get it done. And then, you know, kind of we go against the idea of phase 1 for Misfit Athletics. And, you know, what we're trying to clean up in this is that everything's on purpose. We're trying to do these things for a very specific reason. And if you're just going through the motions, I mean, you probably get stronger by the end of the phase, but did you get as strong as you could have? My answer is probably not.
Sure. Yeah. So if you're a coach listening to this, we would want to give, you know, between that start time in class and the warm up, probably like at a bare minimum, like 25 minutes to execute the lifting, like absolute bare minimum, meaning the first half of that class is your warm up and stuff. But like, I think you told our coaches in our last coaches meeting, like, hey, I would want to give, if you have athletes who can lift reasonably heavy, they want that extra rest. Like you gotta allocate at maybe more like 35 or 40 minutes to give those athletes the time to do that and rest between their sets.
Yeah, and I think it's an opportunity where like we have a blend of both the general and specific warm up. You know, a lot of times people come in, they want to get a little sweaty before they do things that are specific to the movement. But, you know, you can kind of hit 2 birds with one stone in this regard. You know, you send them off on a 100-meter run, come back, do a positional work, 100-meter run, positional work. So there's a way to blend those 2 things together to really do give them that full 30 to 40-minute window to hit their sets. Because again, if they're rushing, they're not getting all they can from these sets, and they're more than likely going to lead to some technique breakdown as they move.
For sure. Okay, so moving on to our kind of gymnastics focus, we're focusing on pressing. So kind of, again, a little bit more foundational to upper body strength pressing movements. Our test is going to emphasize the handstand push-up and the ring dip, 2 fairly high skill movements for a lot of athletes, and we've got some scaling options in there, but over the course of the phase, you're just going to see a good rotation of, you know, we've got things like ring push-ups in there. Not ring handstand, I almost said ring handstand push-ups.
Perfect. That's what grandma needs.
Yeah. Push-ups, handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, ring dips, ring push-ups, any pressing movement in any plane we've tried to mix in there, with the focus of hopefully improving that test and retest at the end of the phase. But at the end of the day, we're looking to improve our athletes' ability to press both their own body weight and external objects.
I think something I'd like to make salient to all the coaches out there is that we have a conditioning test where we want athletes to move fast and get better at these pressing things. And we have that test retest so you can see that you've gotten better at pressing. My one pet peeve with pressing work, specifically to the ring dip, people shorting the range of motion or not, trying to rush through it and not getting all that they can. So, one thing I would err on the side of like lower volume, similar to the way we did with the GHDs in the last phase, is keep people at a very modest dose and make it more about doing things perfectly than cranking out 80 ring dips in 10 minutes. Like there are going to be opportunities, multiple opportunities for you to do ring dips, both in Metcons and in the strength sessions. When you're in a strength session or a skill session, really make it about how beautiful and how, I guess if you were going to like virtuous you could be if you were talking about gymnastics when it comes to those movements, and see it pay off in your conditioning rather than just going through the motions, knocking out, 8 over and over again, but like sort of 8, right? Take your time, really focus on this. Remember that gymnastics are it's the art of controlling your own body. So that should be the focus there, is full control the entire time.
Yep. Yeah. And, yeah. Okay. I think we're good on that. The skill lift, we're going to focus on the snatch. You're going to experience once a week a lot of positional work specifically. We talk about this all the time. And I would say this applies to the squat clean too. But if you're not moving well, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You're not going to be able to snatch more. Yeah, exactly. That's a great way. Like you can't unlock that strength in the Olympic lifts if you're not doing them correctly. 100%. And as two of the most athletic like movements on the planet, like known to man, are in probably the most complex lift in the world. Like, and we're trying to teach this to the average everyday person. We have to emphasize the importance of the positions and moving well. And for a lot of athletes, like there are mobility restrictions. So it's, as a coach, it's saying like, hey, you're maybe an athlete hits good positions in the lift, but their overhead position just isn't where it should be. And that, you always drop that, like your pull looks great. And if I froze you at the bottom of your overhead squat, it would look like you made the lift, but you always dump it forward because your shoulders or your upper back are just bound up because you sit at a desk all day. As a coach, that's the opportunity to say like, hey, what are the things that we can do outside the gym to maybe improve mobility, or what can we do 5-10 minutes before class on your own to help this, help us progress in this manner.
To fully express your ability to snatch or clean and jerk heavy, you have to understand that it's the skill of learning how to move around a barbell, not moving a barbell. Yes, the barbell does come off the ground and land on your shoulders or over your head, but the majority of what needs to happen is you understanding how to move appropriately around the barbell. So, the skill lift really is a skill. We want you to take your time, be extra cautious with your, if you're holding the reins back on athletes who want to go super heavy, like hold those reins even tighter for this phase, because they will see that it'll pay off with a PR down the road. That's not necessarily something we're looking to like, all right, we didn't do any heavy snatches. PR your snatches at the end of the phase. Yeah, we're going to hit some heavy snatches across the entire year. But right now we are building the building blocks to snatch heavy later on when it actually matters, when you could be tested in it, or, when we've had an appropriate high CNS phase where we've gone through the snatch. So take this time, keep it light, focus on cleaning up your movement. There are going to be very specific points that we talk about in each one of your TMF documents there that tell you kind of what the day is looking about and something you should focus on. Make that your salient point and really kind of hammer that home, because if you aren't focusing on skill, your ceiling is considerably dropped from someone who is taking the time to clean up the skill.
And I will tease a little bit, retest week at the very end of the phase. You'll get to 1 rep max snatch. You'll get to sling some weight off the floor, but athletes, they may not be as fresh as they would like to do so. So we'll leave it at that. I'm excited for that day. I might be sick, but I'm excited.
I'm injured that day.
I'm injured that day. All right, so I'll kind of hit on the 3 smaller components really quick that we mix into our program to ensure the variance. One of these days per week, you'll kind of alternate between some heavy lunging or some sandbag squats. We saw some really good really good response to the sandbag squatting, and that's something that you and I have messed around with. I did a lot of them kind of during quarantine.
Pandemic squat,
it was like my pandemic squatting when I didn't really have a heavy barbell, but I do have a sandbag. Just a different squatting stimulus. We want it to kind of complement the squat clean a little bit to make sure that, if athletes can't lift really heavy with a squat clean due to mechanics, we can still get their legs, make them feel more confident that their leg strength is there with lunging and sandbag squatting. So I think that'll be, you'll see that kind of every other week. And then hatchet or I'm sorry, hatchet, the competitor extra, we call it hatchet at our gym. The competitor extra athletes are gonna back squat once a week. And they will get to try to express their strength in that towards the end of the phase. And then kind of any lift that isn't specifically addressed in the skill or in the strength/skill portion of a class, we'll try to mix into a Metcon in some shape or fashion. The deadlift specifically is kind of what we're looking at this phase, because it's, we're not pulling super ultra heavy from the floor, but we wanted to make sure that athletes still feel comfortable deadlifting, whether it's in or outside of a conditioning setting.
100%. I mean, one of the things that I bet athletes, myself included, would wish it would happen more often is that the Open would be like a 1 max deadlift every year as one of the 3 events. But sorry, that's not how that works. It gets tested in higher rep schemes. So, we're going to get plenty of pulling from the floor, a lot of pressing, and, the primary application of that deadlift in our sport is doing it for multiple reps under duress. Yeah. So, as fun as it is to pull a heavy single, we just got to do that with the sumo deadlift. You're going to get plenty of traditional deadlifts. Again, just expect to breathe a little heavy as you're doing them, which is, again, our sport.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps us up as far as like the nuts and bolts of the phase. And I think just to kind of wrap up, like the theme, again, we said it at the beginning, the theme is kind of that consistency. And we want to give you coaches and gym owners out there something to have in your toolbox for getting athletes excited, getting them, interested in coming to the gym consistently, developing that habit. And, also like we want to help you guys grow. Like we want to do what we can through our programming, that we provide you to grow your membership or give people a reason to be excited. And if we can say like, yeah, our program has some specific goals that we want you to get better at, people are more likely to adhere to that, right?
Yeah, people buy into a confident leader. One thing that makes someone charismatic is their confidence upon delivery of something. So in this situation, if you really want to be the revered, head coach or the high level coach at your affiliate, like you're not going, I think they want this, or I think we're doing this today. It's, we are doing this for this reason and this is why. And when you can deliver that with confidence and you get people to understand that you have their best interests in mind, you create that charisma or that relationship between you and your athletes that allow you to be the person they look to, because they know that you have their best interests in mind and that you know what you're doing. If you sound like you don't know what you're doing, people are going to believe that. So a lot of this stuff is, the reason why we try to provide you with so many resources is not so you just have a blueprint and the map says start here and go there, but it's start here, go there. And here's why the journey goes the way that it does. And, that really does separate what you are at your affiliate as the coach versus, the part-timer who comes in and says, I can read this board. Can you read this board? Let me read it to you real quick. And then class starts.
Yeah. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think the last thing to just remind, like all of these things specifically, like when we're talking like movements specifically, a lot of the things that we're focusing on during the phase is comes down to showing up. It's that, and that is kind of your in as a coach or owner to try to get, hey, what if you're talking to a member, hey, what if you came into the gym 4 times a week? We say we want to improve these certain things. Well, here's how you can do it. All of these, clean, snatch, ring dip, handstand, push up. The common theme here is a lot of them just takes consistency. It takes focus. It takes practice. It's not, I'm just going to come in, I'm going to do my 5x5 squat. I don't need to, I'm just going to put the right weight on the bar, sit down and stand up, and the program works. This phase, we ask our athletes there has to be a level of focus and therefore kind of consistency in their, attendance in class. So that's a really good again, as far as being a coach, how we can get our athletes excited and maybe entice them to like, hey, again, let's see what you're capable of. Let's see what 7 weeks of coming to the gym 4 times a week instead of 3 does for your fitness, your health, your home life, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you are your habits. So the more you stick to your habits, the more you're going to see growth and the more you're going to see the results you're looking for from the gym. So, our job is to make that, as coaches, make that as accessible as possible, explain the roadmaps so people get the buy-in, and then once they get bought in, it's on you coaches to go out there and deliver a killer class. And we're fully confident you'll do that because you'll have the information you need to have that confidence.
Cool. All right. I think we did it. We did it. Phase 1 for Team Misfit affiliate programming starts July 26th. You guys can head to teammisfit.com to check out a sample of the program, or if you're in SugarWOD, head to the SugarWOD marketplace and you can get the first 2 weeks, the upcoming 2 weeks for free by subscribing. Check them out. See what we've got in there. Our affiliates have done terrific over the last few phases. The last one specifically, again, I can't repost the number of PRs and stuff fast enough. So we want you guys, we want to see more of that. Don't forget to tag us at Team Misfit Gyms. Also, we'll be at Madison.
Yeah.
We'll be in Madison.
Come
so
say hi.
If you're an affiliate, owner, coach, your gym does the program, or obviously if you're a Misfit Athletics follower, myself, Drew, Ted, the whole squad will be bopping around Madison for a full like eight days or so.
A few days.
A handful of days. So if you guys are around, stop by, see us. We'd love to meet you. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.